Y'all planning for this?
Welcome back, TPR Nation. This is Jamie Shalansky, an episode of Worlds to Conquer, and you had better fasten your safety belts because we are going to be talking in this podcast episode. You 10x your financial planning practice, not 2x, not doubling, not quadrupling. We are going to 10x around here. How do we make that happen? I get a lot of people that says, wow, if I could just double my book of business. Doubling is the first big hurdle. It is the first big challenge that you have. Imagine when you brought on your first 10 clients. It was probably really painful. You probably went to a lot of dinners that you crashed in hoping to business card or name drop or mention what you do now that you're newly licensed or accredited. Bringing on those first 10 clients was probably the most painful experience, not just for you, but for them as well, listening to you as you began. But that second set came a little bit easier and a little bit easier. And then all of a sudden you're really amassing your book of business because it doesn't take the same amount of energy that it took to double that it will to 10x. It takes less energy, but only if you follow this advice and listen to what we have to tell you about how you bring your financial planning practice from a 2x to a 10x. So let's get started. We are in the first quarter. We are wrapping up that first quarter of the year, and I love the month of March. The reason I absolutely love the month of March is because this is where all resolutions go to die. And we get to learn about who really has grit and who just dreams of having a different life. We set really big goals at the last part of the year, and then we follow up and we make sure we're prioritizing those goals and how we're going to instrumentally get them done every single quarter. We use a quarterly basis to set our goals and things that we need to do to achieve the annual ones broken down on a quarterly basis. That just works for us, but maybe you have monthly, maybe you have every 6 weeks, maybe you have just don't make it every 6 months, because if you're only checking on something every 6 months, you're going to have huge problems. So yesterday I got a phone call from one of my team members and said, I just need to talk. I need a vent. I'm going through some stuff and I feel like I'm just a hamster on a wheel. Didn't have a lot to do with the work environment, had a lot to do with their own personal self-growth. And one of my rules of communication, they can absolutely reach out whenever it comes to that kind of head trash stuff. And I want to walk through it with them. And so as I started to listen, as they unpacked the struggles and the torment of what they were going through, feeling like they weren't making progress, we started to map out solutions on how they could feel levels of achievement by doing repetitious tasks. And one of the things that our premise of our conversation was 100% about was that success means doing consistently what other people do occasionally. Think about that for a minute. You want to achieve a heightened level of success, then you must do it consistently as other people choose to do it occasionally. So in this second quarter of the year, those that don't have tenacity, those that don't have grit, and those that just wish for a better life to magically happen for them will all begin to quit. And they will blame it on things like kids getting out of school, the summer months, holiday, I'm not that driven, my clients are blah, 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 whatever your excuse is, and they will give up on their goals and they will give up on their dreams. You must be different than that. You must take different steps towards action so that you don't fall into that same habit, because the easy way, that easy way, it's always there. It's always lingering. It's always surrounding you, just ever on your tail, hoping that you sit down, pick up your feet, and let the easy way wash you away. But if you are interested in doubling or 10xing your practice like most of our Invictus members want to do, then we're going to walk through what you need to focus on right now in order for that to happen. And don't worry, if you're not really interested in growth, if you aren't really interested in pursuing all of those goals that you mapped out in December and January, and you just want to sit back and take the easy ride, go ahead. Hit pause, stop listening, and go find someone else who's going to sell you mediocrity Saturday because it won't be me. All right, let's get started. Let's figure out how we start adjusting where we're at. Here we are, second quarter starting of the year, wrapping up the first quarter, and taking a good perspective on how we double or 10x our practice. Now, if you want to double, maybe you're in the early stages, maybe you're a solo practitioner, maybe you're just getting started, maybe finding that first 100 clients is a challenge that you're facing. But if you are in the 10x category and you are looking to not just double, but now you need to 10x your practice, you need to follow these same steps. Okay, step number 1, where are you going? Where do you want to get to? If you're familiar with Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, in the book, there's an interaction between Alice and the Cheshire Cat. And Alice is wandering around in the forest and she sees the cat in the tree and she looks up and says, "Would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here?" And the Cheshire Cat very lackadaisically looks at Alice and says, "That depends a good deal on where you want to get to." And Alice says, "I don't much care where." And the Cheshire Cat responds with, "Then it doesn't much matter which way you go." And Alice, exasperated by her journey and fatigued in chaos, says to the Cheshire Cat, "So long as I get somewhere." And the Cheshire Cat responds with, "Oh, you're sure to do that, if only you walk long enough." How many times has that interaction been depicted in our everyday life? How many times are we constantly running and circling and hustling and moving and playing a game of whack-a-mole and firefighter to try to get somewhere, and we don't even know where somewhere is? We've never mapped out where we want to get to. Instead, we hire all of these mediocre coaches who don't know what it's like to be in the financial planning industry, and we come to them with these great appeals of not feeling our purpose, not feeling self-satisfied, not feeling our fullest potential is being reached. And they keep telling us, "Oh, it doesn't matter. You're sure to get somewhere if you just walk long enough." If you're not walking the walk that you are made by your creator to walk, you must break inertia. You must do something different. You will not double and you will not 10x your practice if you are not capable of making that dramatic change in your life. If you're not capable of stopping for a moment, looking up above the waters, and remembering, where do you want to go? The best athletes in the world already do this. And I take a lot from the MLB. They do a wonderful job of constantly bringing in coaches, and they do a lot of premeditated thinking when it comes to baseball. And part of that thinking is that when they're in the batting box, they're not just imagining how they're going to keep their elbow up and the swing of the bat and the crack of the bat. They're envisioning every single pitch. How's the pitch going to come? Where's it going to land? When do I hit it? What does the stitch looks like? They are doing all of this premeditative thinking so that they know when they're up to bat, their brain has already lived that scenario over and over again. This is called the power of reincarnated thoughts. Think about this. As a species, we as humans are able to visualize, make imagination in our future, in our brain of what we want to see happen. And it hasn't even happened yet. And so we can sit there and we can use all of these skills and all of these tools, and we can look ahead into the unspoken future and visualize the reality we want it to be. And then something miraculous happens. Then we start living our reincarnated thoughts. We start practicing everything that we want to see. You know, before Surge, we do a dress rehearsal. And that dress rehearsal, we actually get dressed up. We go up into the lobby. We greet Sierra. We go to the conference room. We sit down. We pretend we're going through a client appointment without somebody there. We go through those motions. We start visualizing that conversation. If we have a particularly tough conversation coming up with a client, maybe somebody died, maybe there's a loss of job, maybe the markets were just miserable and we got to give them some confidence to reinvest in all of these different things that can happen in our financial planning world, then we're visualizing that conversation. We're visualizing the expression on the client's face, not with dread, not with loathing, but with the coaching and the empowerment and the guidance and the stewardship we have been gifted with as financial planners to bestow on our clients. This is a stewardship. As a financial advisor, you are responsible for the stewardship of your client's financial health. That is not something to be taken lightly. That is not something to be dismissive. If you suffer from the head trash of thinking what we do as financial planners is easy, you need to take the trash out. It is not easy, or you're not doing a good enough job. If you think that this work is oftentimes too easy, then you are not making a great enough impact in somebody's life. You're not delivering massive value, because what we do is honorable, it is difficult, and it is something we must approach every single client interaction with the utmost integrity. There are three F's that people in life seek information on. And one of them is faith. Whether you believe and you share in my faith, like many of you out there listening do, in a God and a Savior that has come to this earth in order to show us how we can have unconditional love for one another and mankind. Or if you are agnostic and you are searching for a truth, if you believe in a universe and you believe in karma and you believe in the Holy Spirit, whatever that faith is that motivates you, that person, that subconscious, whoever you are praying to at your darkest moments and giving gratitude at the greatest triumphs of your life. We look for things that remind us and help us resonate with our faith. That is the very first F. The second F that people are constantly seeking, and this is what makes it a multi-billion-dollar industry across the world, almost in every single country, is fitness. We are so into fitness. We are constantly looking at ways to hack our health. What pill can we swallow? What diet can we follow? Where can we make improvements on our fitness so that we can learn and feel better with our mental and physical nutrition? We hire personal trainers. We hire mental counselors. We hire spiritual counselors. We hire so many people because we are constantly looking for aid when it comes to our fitness and mental well-being. The third F that is so critical to people because it is something that they think about every single day. In every single decision a person makes, that third F is almost always subconsciously there in the back of their mind, weighing in on one of their decisions: where they go to eat, what kind of presents they buy the people that they love, where they go on holidays, what job they choose, what university they can afford for their children, what treatments they can afford if they have some illness that they're struggling with in their life. And that is finance. Think about that. Faith, fitness, and finance. There are 2 out of 3 of those things that you most likely cannot help a client with. But that third one, that pillar that holds up a person's life, is finance. And you get to do that. This is your job. You get to wake up and you get to help people make important decisions about money. And you are the steward of their financial well-being. And that is an incredibly powerful role that you get to play in so many lives. What we do is about heartbeats. It's about impacting heartbeats. Every household in our financial planning firm, Shalansky & Associates, we refer to as a heartbeat. How many heartbeats can we impact? And because we are the stewards of their financial well-being, we get to impact radically so many heartbeats across the United States. This is an incredible opportunity and not one that we take for granted. So ask yourself, where do you want to go? If you don't know where you are headed, then it doesn't matter how you get there. Because if you're walking long enough, you're going to wind up somewhere. And chances are it's not where you wanted to be. So really being intentional, really taking the time. The very first thing you have to do in 10xing your practice or doubling your practice if you're just getting started is you need to have reincarnated thought. Visualize what that looks like when you have doubled, when you have 10x. Every single aspect. Close your mind in the morning. Maybe make sure that you incorporate this into your morning success ritual. Your morning success ritual are the discipline steps that you take every single day in order to make sure that you have consistent discipline to achieve the greatness that you have to go and achieve. Remember, success means doing consistently what other people do occasionally. So consistently waking up and visualizing what your day looks like. Are you putting on a suit? Are you putting on a dress? Are you getting in a fitness routine? Did you hire a private chef to make sure that you have a protein-packed breakfast. What does that day look like? The drive to the office, the temperature of the room when you walk in, the music you want playing, how you're going to connect with people, how you're going to make a difference in the lives of so many individuals, so many heartbeats on that particular given day. If you are guilty of getting up in the morning and doing the work that has to be done in order to get out of the office, begrudgingly walking through your office doors, making small chit chat with people you don't really want to talk to, occasionally meeting with a client, maybe reaching out to a center of influence, and then spending the rest of your day playing office, which is every excuse you have to make it look like you're busy, but you actually aren't because you're just not getting your done, then that's on you. You have to change that. You have to break inertia. You have to know that when your day starts, it has an ending time. Every single day, I look at my spouse in the morning after we've had breakfast together and I say, hey, by the way, my day wraps up at. Now, generally, my days are pretty consistent. I know when I'm wrapping up, but every single day I have that dialogue with my spouse. So they know when I'm not available and also when they expect me to be available. And when that hour strikes that I told my spouse I was going to be done, I'm done. Whether they need or want me to be done, I'm done. I gave myself exactly how much time I needed to get the work done. And if I didn't get it done, barring any other crisis, then I'm going to do it tomorrow and I'm going to improve my levels of efficiency so I can be more productive the next day. The work takes up the amount of time that you give it to. I have looked at a clock and said, oh, I've got 5 minutes. I bet I can make 3 or 4 really big decisions in the next 5 minutes. When you have that mastery of time, when you have that skill set, when you have your meeting start at a 15-minute block and a 30-minute block and an hour being incredibly restricted to anyone that isn't a client, you will find that you become radically powerful in decision-making, prioritizing, and doing the work that has to get done. But I visualize that every single day. What does my day look like? I am not reactive, I am proactive. And you must also have that same mastery. You must also look at your day and get done the work that has to get done, which leads me to my second point, which is how do you get there? Once you've visualized exactly where you're headed and what your life looks like, and you can feel the silk touch your skin, you know what songs are going to hit your ear, what podcast you're going to listen to. You can feel the temperature of the room. You are living this reincarnated thought. What is your next step? Your next step is now realizing what you have to do and how do you get where you want to be? What are the steps that you have to take? And start small and then we'll go big. Tomorrow morning, what do you have to do? What is your written down morning success ritual? Where is it put at is it on the refrigerator? Is it on your computer screen? Is it on your nightstand? Where is it at that you have a morning success ritual that you are getting up and actualizing where you want to be in life? After you've achieved the morning success ritual, the second step I take is I have a list of all the I got to get done that day. And that is with check marks next to it, and I plow down through my list. And is there more work that is waiting for me tomorrow to do? 100%, all of the time. That's what we laugh about at our firm and call job security. There's always going to be more work for me to do, and that's a blessing. That is a beautiful thing. But I'm going to prioritize the work that has to get done, the work that nobody else can do but Jamie Shalansky. And I'm going to prioritize that by, does it have a finance aspect to it? Does it involve money? Does it have a deadline? Is it legal? Is it a tax implication? What are these different priorities that I have to recognize in order to get the work that I need done? On my daily sheet of paper, I fold it in half. I take an 8.5 by 11, I fold it in half. On the left-hand side, I write down all the big needle moving moments, all the big stuff that I've got to get done. And then on the right side, I'll flip it back over, and those are my tasks. Those are the little nuanced things that I have to get done that maybe don't move the needle, but they still have to be accomplished. That first part of my day, I only do big needle moving projects. That's it. That's all I do. I don't open my email. I don't get buried in my tasks. I don't take return phone calls. I do nothing but move the needle. For me, that's a lot of marketing. That's a lot of content creation because we are responsible for the top of the funnel, which just means bringing prospects into our firm for the other financial advisors in our practice. So I do big needle moving items. And then as my day wraps up and comes to its conclusion, I'll flip it over and I'll do my little little tasks that I can just get done instantaneously. At the end of the week, I will look at all of my sheets of paper and I'll say how many of these absolutely had to be Jamie Shalansky. Now, here's a big thing. We have a lot of ego associated with this. Ego means I am the only one that can do something. And the question becomes, are you really the only person that can do something? Is it really come down to you, or are you saying I'm the one to do it because I don't want to take the time to train somebody? It would take me longer to explain to them than it would to do it, or I don't have anyone else. Those are all the same problem, really, and that's because you have either tolerated laziness by the team that you've employed, or you have underestimated their skill set and you don't want to take the time to train them, even though they are capable of so much more than what you're giving them. Or 3, you keep hemming and hawing about hiring someone. Every time I meet a solo practitioner and they say, oh yeah, I'm going to hire someone, I'm going to get a VA, I'm going to get an EA, a virtual assistant or executive assistant, I'm just not there yet. Guess what? Newsflash, you're never going to be there. When is the time to have a baby? When's the right time to have a puppy? Those time periods do not exist in modern time. It is never a great time to hire someone, ever. And even in our enterprise office where we employ 15 people, it is never a great time to hire someone because I've always got something else going on. But at the end of the day, the hiring and firing decisions are mine to make. So after somebody goes through our whole process, I still have to have that final interview and decide if we're going to hire or fire someone. And it has never once been a convenient time in my life to do that. So if you are hemming and hawing about hiring a virtual assistant or hiring an executive assistant, stop hemming and hawing. Break inertia. Achieve your level of greatness. You cannot 2x. You will definitely not 10x if you don't have other people's systems, policies, and processes in place to help you get there. So I look at all my tasks. What are the things that I really didn't have to do, but somebody else could have done, and they just don't have the skill set to do it? One of the things that I do with my executive assistant, I will do a voice memo or I will do a screen recording of something that I did that somebody else probably could do if they knew how. So let's just take an easy example. Let's say I'm booking airline tickets. I will hit record on my screen and I'll start the whole process from start to finish. What is my preferred airline? I have 2, Alaska and Delta. All right, where do I want to sit on that plane? What seats are acceptable? What seats are not acceptable? What time do I want to fly? What is my known traveler number? I'm putting in all of that information into a document. So in the future, when they have to go book my travel, I'm no longer responsible for those decisions. Anytime I make a decision, anytime I click a forward or confirm an action on the screen, I'm explaining why I made that decision. So now that information is out of the brain and given to somebody else to utilize. And so no longer is my ego associated with the fact that nobody else can do this work. It has to be Jamie Shalansky. Jamie Shalansky has taken the time to stop speaking in third person and to inform another human being how I want something done. So how many steps in your life are you taking? How many actions are you taking that you could really sit down and say, do I have to be the person doing this? Or could I teach or entrust another person to do it? 2xing and 10xing from wherever you are right now today is 100% possible, but you have to get out of your own way. You have to relinquish some of the control and definitely get rid of some of the head trash that you have around these subjects in order to get where you need to be. In our next podcast, we are going to be talking a lot about systems, policies, and procedures, but we got to go back to the fundamentals. How do we 2x? How do we 10x from wherever we're at? Where are you going and how do we get there? Those are the 2 big things that have to be in your head right now, especially as we go into Q2, which I like to visualize as a battlefield where we all started off with these really energetic Olympian competitors that were racing towards their goals. And then at the end of February, most of those people are dropping off and giving up and surrendering and going home. And those left on the battlefield are the warriors. Those are the ones that will succeed because nothing will stop them. Not the passage of time, not the naysayers, and not the head trash. We are the warriors of this space, but only if we have the grit and only if we have the tenacity to keep moving ourselves forward. TPR Nation, you know that this podcast and everything that we do at The Perfect RIA is about empowering you as a financial advisor to take actionable steps that to day can transform your practice, deliver massive value to your clients, allow you to spend more time with the people you love, and still be highly profitable in the process. So we want to give you action items. Here's what I think you need to do right now after listening to this podcast. 1, draw out where you're going. What are your reincarnated thoughts? Start this in the commute home. Maybe you're on a train, maybe you're in your car, maybe you're just detoxing from the day and really kind of decompressing, listening to a podcast like this. What are those reincarnated thoughts? What can you stop and visualize in your mind right now and really, really do it minutely? This can't be broad. It can't be vague. You need to think of that batter sitting in the batting box, visualizing that pitch coming down the field towards him. I want you to be so good at reincarnated thoughts that you can smell the leather on the baseball and you can hear the crack of the bat as it collides. Have that much detail into your reincarnated thoughts. All right, second action items that you can take right now. You need to write down the ways that you're going to fail. What is going to get you derailed from achieving this and really being that warrior on that battlefield? What are the things that hijack or stop you from achieving these things every single day? Maybe it's a team member that's been long overdue that you got to get rid of. Maybe it's a spouse that you need to have a communication with and say, hey, listen, I need to do this morning success ritual to kind of get me in a good place. Maybe it's outsourcing some of those responsibilities that we talked about. What are the things that you can do to recognize the way that you're going to fail in achieving your greatness if you don't let go of now? Take those steps. Start today. Do those 2 action items and watch how your life begins to transform. TPR Nation, this is Jamie Shalansky in an episode of Worlds to Conquer. Find people who share your values and go change the world.
Hold on before we go. Something that you need to know. This isn't tax, legal, or investment advice. That isn't our intent. Information designed to change lives. Financial planning can make you thrive. Start today, don't think twice. Be a better husband, father, mother, and wife. The perfect RIA, the perfect RIA.